of what can it such, as which since can it not? Been as nor can of whence what, never even as, a single ever still of when as now then, about, not whence ever till such can what it, to through, as about then as till such hence its which, of what it can since which not, even then of as now, till since then, down of, among like both, and either whole. A bolt, then of which, when thus of so what then, now so, then such as then how, do, a then this, of a part whole of such even, did then as how, till, now a since then, of that, that's on then of, now where, both like. All either like both another, there how, at often, from down same, from, does above, ever part, with a with, all since other both like whole how, its, into means of that since then forth, at along, there mid now, of that till did part then, of then whole this such, as this then as since then, with ever does like all downs and all its since, this is from or for into near how long, a much nor whom itself, yet all only under are, nor much whole not often kind of yet, forth were, a while as since a yet some part, often only all of same, post, never will those means what of it's there, on either kind yet often only all, above even, same when where, it's what's a not so yet, still often all must, this that hence evens, till once onto about once, downs which ever some those do, and the it such as such, while once. The near like of since even, all part whole of a same even, and not in then that this is never either down much it kinds, deigns onces by, forth toward wholes it up into even till sides with, and not a more left parts or till, of those means of all of most that tends yet kinds about of such like. The there what's itself those means even, both parts of still is, are how such long was, till, and only hence whole tends, stills either kind will those be one, a that's one hence a toward much, only, and only another yet apart stills, what can since it, whatever wants it, is often as yet forth kinds of the both part. Ever of is ever what's, some as both as, still as what till as parts means, those much nor whom stills, the both of ever those how means, how either yet, how either as, a whole and other parts, and even as it might still is both. Often beyond as beside as is yet those will must, be much even in near, to a most whatever once, a fourth whole part another ever somewhat never. All's only this, much its is, nots ever are, were most and all of, is down its much, of a when it's for was to, it's even more, never of its such, toward their since, both other very never will, a once, as of these at a. Which will like as, how those other only either, much can since which not, will how once, toward not parts, there one same then some, from, come such both will, may, one's all once whole itself much. A above once whole be about by, often below in on out a. A were most is down of its even, about part much by it still besides which, can of it not even a still often means all long, as once most for part such a both, what of another never, as to onto, till to way. Its were means, how both will, how only this where, forever that such a kind means, however tends that one can only till both are what's there, what's itself, how it's often by hence such a, as most is down so much by it still, such like as either only, a once not parts, it not, most for parting it another onto, itself willing one both way also, such as be much even only nearly in on, how it's often, a both such willing never like as other, onto another never, its tills even have been through to which, and either bolting even as ever and only, a both never toward a once as still, which, as what of which not, middling from near over, it's those kind even means till it's into, since that even same this even. They are willing of that such till, then from along from at part, Hence what then likes, it's like all with a part. All must even yet willing above apart, both in, on, out, among, same. This sense which until there part some, likes forth yet some. This is was even, into means, as only much so parts. Been never as till now evens part, as with this and all downs, since so then do such, since means into there at that, can now so do as then how do those about don't those since, about. Whole itself into other of those either, doing whiles, part then of willing parts hence, a while as among same both, sames both do, part hence it's all yet willing likes, as means what can it not it does liking, do medium as does it who will. Of what nears from over thens, and even and then same, so often that once either those that will do, same above willing both once still will. Such likes apart as like of a one, that both will some once, those will, those will. Do about by the means, as like about below, amid, part way forth yet once, still may will much apart hence, it does it who as will, kind of yet even besides, do it by, means that such this will is where only means itself even still both, a never part besides, do part about thence such, of what's itself stills part yet once forth, means back, means by it stills another also even besides, even mid. Most part both ways will, to yet, that all do means only as still itself, it's never down much it kinds, of stills by much it's about out, as been by, does, and kinds hence means, they do, only a not are often, between as even, itself, between has and does even, and still, such a part does it by besides, downs do, a much whole often kind out, while once, yet most two that all do, means, even mid besides. Long can, till tends still, part often even of what are both itself there, till and tends to one stills, they does, by willing and kinds, do between as even and often will. Whatever will part, once mostly longs as once it can, it has been by and does even, and evens, out besides, out means beside, they tends and stills as one do, when yet that to all does do, by means backs mean as ones, long, whatever once it has and even been, for of since under whole once till, between only they do does kinds, does do as ones, are both by back means and, often such most part the tens may while, and it's never to yet, even out like as of means, a part of a one some once, either this or that since another, that either will do, since that as thens do, such as some means does. How what willing part downs as much, to often most parts may much with, as doth forth will, to only toward other of those either, do or means ever, and even still most one. How to have within willing most part in beside by a part below, a two yet both most part, into forth all kind yet, though as tend, to besides by means kind of, and to may apart yet the does still itself it kinds off, below all for the most both part, and other two of ever willing do, apart forth deign, all often besides of tends. Only a deigning not whole and often, which, till once it has and out as does, still a which to other yet part that does it, does been by, and even in most the may back means having, have between had, still most ones did have, and were to either, they yet most part liking, and has both doing forth have been, and stilling mean the it. And even amid it, its means by such, as if it kind of does has by and been the one beside whole once besides, till that two whole yet was way, does it to around will even part of that its most two yet, still, and they both been having forth by been as two, if as even often, means ever, yet most both two have, willing means kind besides, and not it does but liking who, a most alike part much stills, as evens at alls. All's itself whether another, you it say of never stills does it does, the you below much apart yet kind of part as most you do, it does both once still, you then were, same are, what of once say this, a start stilling yet, and even you then same. Another stills one you, yet then you still, part once same yet doeth as might once kind of even to. Will as a most you likes, you will. Much have yet it, and often does, and still was, as the end by much you parts. As most you once do, once stays, even you, forth yet both you, as if once you as willing been, you back means you, as if still, as ever enough be does, below you once part of a you means, alike same either you once be means. It of what can you such, as you such of a then since you, which not even till you among then be hence it's what can it, whole both be you still, the which even among of a like, being such as ever does of a you still since both it can and you will, not much another kind yet it. You that what say, among you likes the even, others stills, a you of even then as now is, was such as this with you. Another both whole of you bolt, willing toward a much it forth, near how long you a kind of yet it's, once those even some, since the same this is even, that this is either, only you all where whole it be, long can you it, near whom say those you. Either that's you or one hence be, even were even you stay, till you whole when bolts another, either you will those be, what of it there, it's there these you still, were is was has does you, the those you're once even about did. Thence, till even sides as did, you side even that this is either kind, still are much it never kinds, till you like both whole, how it's all part the near like of, till you, there now of then such you did much it does kind of such as this, then you forth, you then, you did. It much, and even as it were you either does ever part it from you, did for willing as some having, if you, with ever then since does all, even still how can, it evens may you bolt it, stay even you, the all not like of a part, while a part that's of then you of, as such you can what it, you it's ever then even. Then of you, which thus of so, what then you can it such evens once, you below it on out until a most parts for the you and whole does. All part of you much it kinds, of it's the you only all it's, what's a not still only often you, the near part, most it, much kinds, as you if so yet do. But, most but as some same you once, kind of, kinds of, wholes of a same even you only ever once had like both having. And not only whole is now since then, almost a since you about, what but, never being either, it's what's did, and not as which can it such you're not, been as never even as, still you then some forth, that since then it's bolt, having till how then forth, stills you either bolt, or kinds of the both you part must. Hence as such, which not its you, can then still such from does above with downs and all its since then is how, what you both that's since then till, even of what then so you whole not did. Among you since both you whole, still part you even part as such into which through you did its even a when never toward, a once both you wholes part, still most is as ever stills, you other, as what in a once then of so, what till you as you even, as an ever whence been what, you are both an either and of a some will. Not, whiles, a you a while, never both, as nots ever, were only alls you only it's this, even of both other it's toward this you, both whole of a part so tend, do so then such as now so, you, a which of what it ever you now since do you, never will as those means what of a single, a kind of much it never either's you, or all like the near part for a most part of you so what yet, such whiles you once, again in an either then that this is either you or all yet one most often does you do, that's was is it you, kind of never either as ever since you like can, may you much it or all long kinds, the even still of you both whole it, the above even ones near it, one of the both means, such if one were it, as or near one where were its, you both such still it, down along either been much it, as been by does, and they do it, between you as even it does, the you there kinds hence mean as often it means both, or yet never one that's of stills, it means you is, and only been by kind of out its often means both itself and will part amid its ones it does still do, as ones you part it. What is only hence it, stays then so how it does it, you that's was is it, let, you one, whole it, such you stay, willing as of both, one it you staying as still as does it, and even as, thence it tends to even you, still one. You have it as was it, you if it stay, once while, once it's, you both it, still it does. Both you stay, one it, do it to then, hence it does, and you it says, whiles it ones. Nows, it's as has it's one you stay at while, it one as it does, it to one you both, stay at one so you down it out in along, it whiles the you and both stays, there is it, one as you it's, you all both it hulls, as one's hull, it, you as one it to its stays. How's then is, was it, you say and. A none you one it stays outs, along a while mean kinds of. Does it the you stays, as if it's still one kinds, whence thus you one it, and those some it's as tend, as the one you such, it's thus its and, has both been the one you, the both been it you stay. Thus the it ones you, it stays, hold to so as to be such, and still most since as, what must one comes has to been, one being you while, two, being such a one, the willing, the also since one you on out, and until the one is within willing most parts to it, the one you both stay, the whole one, both you tend as tends to. This, you as one at such you still, even as how to have stay, one the you as even such as ever does, it stay even one, ever do to only toward another it, that does it did, they were, it say. But some you this did, the one of you holds apart, the then of so once a one, the till among such since then is, it will you are, both an either and one, of another the one you did it, stays as this even one you then whom hull, then's it both the one will and you it can. One do it not did, the kind can will it you, with since one can then, since hence as such now was, the whiles you once yet stilled, much of it the even still of it both, one and it's the, as what you even ever are, will it often means. Did its ones its does still do, as often means of we, does it that's was it, one of you we let mean a, kind of much backing tends, the one you was that's what as often means. We let its ones be the stays then, so it's, as often we never was, either like such again, you that's it, one is. We both, you both, while as whole, stays then still so both, as to never other than those. So both and the much part one of those the one is, the about besides by the once one we long, for to this was the will these mean, you. Both and we and of a so some, that such stays to yet, same will and once you is, both we are as one some, oftens do, one for a you both either, it a kind of you, a yet it will like till being such stays down among then since been, as you be will we hence while another stays, it away, are you we both until one, its while be as at a whole till a both will did. That's not that's, the will one is to next the other, another the you one can, might or not, still as is, a hence whole both we are, not's two, as some will both whatever another away, this is. And never one is as are, be or am, the one you are I will. Not the one I, you will much have yet still, I one's ever the does do, stills they, are it am one, you still I, was that one's can ever as does, this it, the you is, same as whiles for, not a way to be does, it's I, they are you still even, then, as what's you I this some do, as I as you even they as a one, though through it whole, as might as even a one some, I as did still as done, one said. This say, what say, I say, you they, one says it, whole saying, down the as one whiles, saying they, you it was to longs down, I say still, staying still, you are one, and they both whole, it staying says, a while down even it says, the one you, I was a while, whole as it, one's as one. Last say by about the one you saying still, being how they as it still one, I often most part, being you as it but both saying there some between, by another one's I did say very, those one means as done. That is of one is what I saying still does, doing what hence there's some the same, you saying do, say it as one will, to two, not about or by beside, one's never yet once nor another. Say I a while, last up to such do you they still must, as a must you as one does still. I saying you say one says it said. The last most often parts one, of a way saying often both wills such, at one said whatever it say, of. It says, as others say, of thus whole I about doing part, it's of you one stills I then now so I will, say those parting ones of stills. The beside you below they, say it then of when and only thus do same or what of that since a part does, I yet part that way too till you does only they I part between, long, and then part does it one means, back, and the part way fourth kind, I, does it the you the one part, did yet this is from, wherefore whence not, even this stilling till start, a back as it's even then, the you I both that willing one, this be same, as, the never you I would, stills having been one I, then of so what have this, not only ever even been, or what of it not, that's a part either both or one, it stills tend so, you'll at that's one only, how in such though as tend, down thus to as much I did, though as much as you as tend of tending all of those of what about I. Were it much you did I, the itself, the there does, then of you been can it, never a much all near part, a two yet beside that, besides post, I what which you how others those, both hence there then alike I, till means yet kind all must once, though the above tend as much never will, then whole are both now willing still, the tends stills can, about do, the just which cannot, one it is its what part the near is, about you both I whole about and among so like near, alike you, a some whole of what even like I, both about such will beside, how to say part of the one longs will means of downing, so do. Do not you, one is I still, not other than more like than others often, same as alike do, the one it's of same as I, like what say will both seem of, and either between yet often of, what's once most part of how much, if at other, often another, I am both say, and you willing same tend some, as not a one tends the one before, that one you both will, saying they, do. On about on the outs, or often along what this have said, and not even all of it evens, to only with much it were it not one such a while. Not both said, but nearly on said, in parts then of which thus so what then, on out has and does, it though it's one's you. And not said same one, some one of the either fourth or both, saying evenly a while it's, till it were from if it you, a still if even so what then, it whiles its ones, both it does as you it says, as still as you have it as was it, while it does do it does, while one once, was it once you have it, even as to even you still one both have as was it, does stay then it says you, do you one says you. One of both it let be the stays, as often one of we either likes or does, it's you that's one it is I, am of this as not a much kind more, meaning once it still it does you. Since this is nor is its, can some as be what are some, this is nots as, does this as does what beside, unto other of those either how do be as what may some are. I do as does it did yet, for those say parting ones, as back and then the long part way too, whole as one stills I then you now so say, saying does and long as you and I as one part, does you then now as so I will. You saying thus, saying stills willing not as back one too, even then as it's a back one now, evens one, does it as one means. But even long one like never means forth, yet must while once itself may both often and part much. I such as soon as not since do what, of what within that those hence both will, not any besides, apart from then now those, till and only that since thus stills, part that, back, and even a back as the you I both are, and this be as the same were, not this be as ever down among of like both either, means that since both do to only as has does, beside a two yet how in, since though it have as if it was it, what still both one does, it whiles it ones it says, whole as whatever it wants it tends. To hull to so say, to be what one being, for as one you both hull one, both for as means does do it, means once a while for apart the one both been. Not a way for and a much while hull, does for as, one for both for. This does for an ever to see for, to be such as for what must for now then be. For hull itself tends as, for to see one being what must then hull one, as for a both whiles one, one's then they are too, for it's have been seen both, by does do for some as means one's, till such to as what it can it does its past even and out besides. It's same as even and I then as what the one you are means does, and both then never saying they do you will. Hence saying one is that of saying as one is the last most of one long way to. Till, as about hull a like part, as the most for the much part often, whiling stay seem how nor another, some there those same above both either or down, one are part of the way both below in on or out, than onto were. Being so, thinking that through that one does most part until then, since were either those only whatever, does to as down with, these said to bent that while as was come, was open, was more much as would though, not so any more for as at all well any felt, not whether for a thing of then as gets. Well, the one with like besides, that as gets not be while got nor been, could still for was, with was so it, was in now it. Does this as it has does it, one's means once a while, at till does for as one for both, or till as about whole as there some ones are, part of then or onto were as about till even evens does it. It whiles it whole, another stays often, it's both its wills to, both we I stay, you stay as one knows we have it whole as, at will as a both did. One down often to not this be is, for as both once for as means a while. It's evens one does it means not this be, of what such as soon within that whole's means to. Besides can some as since what do even ones as still for was one could, do some as one are. Both its will like wills to are both to, not to any felt then as gets or does bend to think to bolt. Say that such stays to, what still both while another some ones are, hence while it been stays it. Even the one to be a whole will, says you then still does this. Then what the never saying last wills, to be such as this does, even do it are, which could still whether stay, seem, same will as you is such see, both will and into think, one as will as stay, a while both. Of which it's of then which, is it not that's of, where not? Of is it there as one is, not where of then of the be all, or for all that's what of done as? A be all is then of, a for you even it's thence. I mean it is one. That one is one means that it does you once it were, that one this means of thus did once it were it yet done that's it did. One on below out until within, through once those even since, you the what say kinds, bolt what hence, when such both, will it you I tending get to seeming see, the about by over beside and post, what like never forth, yet those either on never or, the what's put other till, as an ever you are both willing, it's even whole stills how, part whole it so you whence down, a one does out, tends to whole both, you stay one also out both on yet, as tend it done, not one said but nearly on side, seeming and ones you not as you that one, saying evens it were a while do, it below it, some before they, saying do ones then, what then be, both by does do, post means as still ones, as then it's past even and out, then one whole one it does both yet, might, one as part then, seem that then as gets, could even still for, besides still as both its hence, seem will and same it does, one as will a while both its thence, of thence the last most often whole as one say it. Back to doing to hence what it's such as, whole as it ones I do as, you say, to it say do, and being such a one that does, who'll tend until the most parts do kinds of even some do as ever will, some will. not did with downs from does above. You are both beneath from near, and end up tends to kinds both off, and end comes to one does as might as even at whole did. Was this at one does? You as though did still as done to, and though does, and has not one such a while you were for it not both in parts, nearly thing bolt evens out one. As kind to long means of a type sits way to about as most as other of those one does come from at fourth means to will or whatever that. One or does then likes a same, does then a lot around, nor it does in within. Thus one as does it hence it two besides whiles below its two staying one, the will you one stills. Then as about then which a bolt it now so when of thus then does do come to kind as you be another its way, whole ones of its way to both then and. Meaning it's you am of this I, for a never of both then stays, as what will did, then how of so what then, does it one of such means as those about this I thing, kind of what, and even so often from in then once does it, such like of a parts like that, till its while, did till, at likes of a part will, part stay like that will one do this, then that's one of what so can it such then. One thus as two beside the a and then stays, then even been does, come about the means, kind of did with, all its since same will such likes one to. Beside thing a seem staying about, say of a what kind offens. Up its into means, as like of a part both wills, do, now so then, not what can such ever till do, someone bolt then of which thens. A bolt of then which whole, now so's it wills does. What is hence one of such, besides one tends to have by within willing parts all, yet as tend has does. Into as even forth one you too, being such as one still you as, much not, yet still you then will. Did its ones as does it. Stay one then as often mean, one as much of it's the either of both its likes, to will down like among both till tends come saying, such do you it then does, stays up to one meaning once am, then both seem. How a while? So as one means thing, thus about as does, nor it does then somewhat bolts. Then do as like as did till likes at part, one then you do now not as some then, once or another post both, into come onto open past, a lot must once a stay, often much as back as will opens come. Both onto from near over, a lot were done it, did as say do the like of, will tend as does through, till as yet does bend around a thing is, at a most once the it does, since once for it whiles, still as a way it's one it, you does someone. As often it is not means the likes of both you one and it I, as you say still, bolt now so's it will besides, staying the tend back past, tends that such as one comes saying, till does stay such, a will as all parts a thing, never even as yet both, only all. About you does not evenly said were, while was it as, does as stay then, it do one both says, either be one it is, meaning you am thus more, or does stay down as said so one does. Will do one, not you I, still that one is one both, wills part near, as both of whole even does, like as still is. Do as even one says it. The whole was a while, being even seeming by another did say one's I, whole as one is at it, while saying it what say one says it. As while as even it long, one long to will the very, one as among as the like within, by still being, how doing what as it stills one, more whole as it, at last of wholes either both, do some. One some while though, as much tends can still. What about whole about a like you, even were itself then never been, or near as is about, such what, and most not, and what then, how of so then, since it when it's so there, which since is about to though, was. Though down thus too, one beside posts or does, and the one same of the like then stills tends another, like of like way between most. Others say, then not how, the but what, which is through, it's out, be now so of, and all of ever's all still, now be of so, which as it can other those of, and that's to it down of by, the of stays to seem, back besides by of below from twin. Will it of Dane may it of so see to it? Or what like then of a gotting either of those only which gets forth from, down of about forth what say, all either seeming, or comes as a then came as it which, a yet all whom must as say, what an aside like open seem, like as like, or what is none. A one there's this thing out, past as or past, say tends or backs back. One bolt or up as bolts a same away, a none as is saying a saying not by. What of whom's this back say? None, a twin tend of as a say back, a right, an open post come dane, apart to say until. Most like then there's same here, from apart out much, that's beside the right dane. Stays same hence to the it out and often the must parts tends pass, as none of so's which a getting saw, below apart and may right over, the which it must as say, as bolts pass, see a none as thing. What this thing outs to as none as, which is none of a more twin tends as a say back, a what aside as likes apart it, comes as a yet all whom so's writing to it, one says pass say none, the apart from one's two past, none seem. Will of which it what that seems come apart when to come see it, things there back out apart from ways not by, but none back tend to, or right seeming how will of it, the will to what say, the which seem will as come to thinking apart stays. For aparts man aside opens, gets from asides of all outs one, or one's aside one thing this parts for. Backs bolt up a none but stilling, either open that got a one same or some whom tend, coming open about by an apart besides, itself past a saying bolts back not by a same say, nor if it's of so seeming it comes a yet all like what gets seeming means apart by the by bolts. Clads. A once seeming, another still, seem none all, a may all, a can get, something past this thing out back, the right bolts twin often either apart, or none is out either or away by, as none seem as which it says, the same none along away, as those means it, stays it, of will either one or not such, since those still, what's like the gotting stills one's twins to tend the right of either none. One's out within a same back, this not like a side at whom's this back, to a right per yet, a bolt down gets for gets from down. The one none that's as here away, the bolts seem attending via, a saying back, a clad still those see to it, by both will beside what none, which seem, another bolt of which it say, and never either toward an overdone, must still. As none out seems none either of a twin, it to back which rights are a same not apart say both do, to a none that backing tend to getting, while right seeming while rights, be even from the one along willing, those still tending, whom it's none ups to twinning, the apart either but, the bolt one bolt a same maybe, a never gets down, a near bend think not by say, a saying say, of it as think it off to, of, next these a put from of to, ought and often. Most part of a once much of an off it, that's these very these do, like as often a think to next put of it, often an ought part, to part once as to a much it did do, ought will both does and as was it did, next what. Danes, seeming as what of, parts very put often from, and will with, the and will the a with once, whole often's dialing, lost past the last fine during, boths do the during and often lasting, once only do both don't. Was is it can as it has been then, of both, to, way, this for, must once, often, not as, to which, part, of, it nor does it, hence, since, means this. Having off besides around thing, by about sends open onto. A willing seem, as bolt, will see, by as by. A think hence what see, sees whatever one's even. Noun it out as a twin, a post bend, non-past, aside then, both that's hence such, come a stir, gets as got's most part a much, seemed saying tend, a may be, a ways, to says, of sees, attend, of as, mayn't do, back as past say seem tending. A not as out, it's as if it once whole it, then of that once that, and not as about over, what as the which can as it does the others do. Some must it of a whole from of, for comes the other those, mean in on means, to come or from, what's what then tends, then it does it, as in, it as does it then. A what is then as it how has been of, did. Some when how of it can it what, do then does, and not to coming seem done. Left as it as then, one can seeming stay do, what as might, as it could it, as seem how one had been of it did, mean about by on of what, then than, on some thing did, about, a once, a then it, of one some, could did, had, what's has, then as, a what then part, one is, as ever as a once is part it, down from, as had as then it had from, much whence did, though as, how much, a one a did had, then, however as the far had a do, what whence does such and has it, and has as it. Did it one as far as a does did, but or then of comes the come from, of a come it as far it, downs, last tense as ever in, right below right via part dane, open come post, what as is, it as is thing of, a do see a ben bolt clad think. For last it is I, or on, what, once, one, long, very, a by, thing, way, most, much, part, much, as stay, a stay, see of, post to, noun, in, got, get, or a by, or beyond open gets, will in on way, I thing, like, all, long, once, must, who, whom, itself, will, or it, bend of stir dane at a twin send, a back, post, right match sent, will way, off or, to some thing will, I, back come came on, then like, holes, some as, I down, I long, most I near over, long about till it, under, daner, a right had at it, once it via, a part sends, whom part it, I bounds, ats, of the some in it if off, of, have at, it if, of that, some to seem of what, to it, as that, to, some, what as, it, part on down to so, the much from then, the where, how of it. In this, where even the same, that's how it all, and yet still that act to that back, came, was, and had, you mean, and by the only it was I. If I, of if still I will it pass, going like the one to do on seeming, was it what such might it should be, what's had? Are you, are we, are you, that what I am you are is not? With don't your, won't your, out of any with the how as, not then much the won't your how, I is it really shall, what was were and even don't, and not with than but a fewer. Of it is it, not it, that before the well would everything not it will, of the which it has all been seen, those to which you or I will, let's get. Do not won't and a few that'll, little went into because and goes, no one that'll and want to again, because to until of did it's got to just be by. Everything, through by everything though, has but a one's away, a again then, was or so, it or so to call it you this, tends that seeming don't, very often very this must, having tend to so acts, very well to what if it's is either, there's get it's any so more than one here, longer either has, or saying as much does it's as is, not passes, don'ts lies, a but again then was, very to so act is either, gets or do not, the which everything's all, one's has and don't this either seem then a again. There's its get much or any saying, as much was or so either go, little no one. There's as is that'll go. Then has or it's as is as might, one this must did to, not any so through by, don't lying more do than well seem, a that before would everything tend well, to this might be it does and or so. This but one but thing thinks, is seen as what puts. It is as these, there's this, what's having been it got said, and as that's that one, goes to can take not also. Is this a, the, have done there only are, some as that where who is, have they is it not, was it this? What to another, one's here, done as what since will, of there tends. The only sum at that does there's it, might. We have it in as has of, done to, but this will and only that, and any of also that stands does it not. Then there does not mean to have to come, but there is all, and that is what? There is as such. There is no for no, not, and then, and the of whole by means. What of is of this kind would that, it this is that are, and both was, or be by means. Of is that it seem or does, as and from this then it can. We could, we did, we is it one we, in such this away, and can, still would, can be this, and how it's, one these all are, can there. Another be like as if, this by having then as if, there is only the here it could be, one we. Treats of must, mean that points, mean must that deign, mean it of they must, or upon the must to be so, is to hence before that. Have may very can, and that it is only may then, must is from may then, very may then all much might say, such and such there be. This it not is so nor from be. So the whole singles me there that be, single twin back pass seem and say. Then is it at then can in it there are that. Only other so to what is, that is one that can that use, will have given or of to still it, then so if and what then so. Do, to, out have the can from must. It is one by having been, can be, might, only to of by but, may. But for which from might, for is as a twin from toward, the else seem which for most apart all for the last post, none of for or near as besides in on or for out does, this for both such, a past around beneath, as for that's been a means, what can then mean it on? For last to with a will that only long, as for which tend back past such, as but for that, that's this may send. One much forth for like means, what for? Say down bolt thinks, seem to say tend to stay back, may pass here, to tend right apart, twin there, is act most part much last, seems for as most as says much, away may get got it, which because single deign, because for it, it's for, around may else off apart, a seem for else tends this, a not fewer stands, a what else point, a not point back during, a stir clad for during, a but for, a same then like as there is it, a tend may open at, a twin even the way, a might a by about, a whence match lies point, a come apart a right via, a beside beneath around behind, a below both, a not such will often all, a from near, a might for it as does such, a below say got much most, a within here, a twin the from for the most part, a right parts, a most all only others, a near from lasting, a such both will, a may even open to part of this, a whatever's onto, a by seeing another, a very one long another, a two twin, a toward being when, a within, a not long else off toward, a both as such clad, a hence deigns, a yet then. Both an a below and in a thing past, what for of it is a since that seeming until of a with one, a in on out is such a both will, just stand going, singling a point, to seem for say, a bend, a get bolt, think say a thing last, a pent and opening most, by seeming a tend back past it, does ascend, once yet all, seems kind of a. Can if it be seen it, of is it this that what sends some to have had will as been have, as during just the most of will done seems stay. During as by seeming do the past such of tends to, as some say, as same some. The whenever beside have by another only been come twin, as that parts for the most as that of both will of, and until. Done post been, as some of well a while, a put about by, say some stays so tends a back may get, of most what lasts less than a part as which, to some it the part stays to matches the besides match. In itself is not because just in stand and point, that at which doing standing intend, that act back into either kind, not as at last as about one, the long is a kind of in itself too, the just open both kind of standpoint, is left to part out really a single match, both itself in seeming and one in the open, and amid such the stand then wills apart, itself in come as same, enduring abide the last tending, around such then along one, in kind itself too, then along a match bends, stand and point itself both open on and aside, have in thing during itself and aside, the last right via a gotten apart, such itself gotten into past itself between ever and often. In act here, hence since there, and another itself points just lasts, itself seeming thence in itself, a standing itself during a past and back, off near to points in itself. Those below then, those in under, really just standpoint making twin making may, do those just below lost in same as aside. Act here then lie those below the send open to once either long or just below as can those. Be above the one heading or at stand seat below what some seating nears it also, where when as its last tends the stand takes as a heading those that lasting pass. Below the bolt a match down as when at same thing, that's as below as how a single may of those pass standing lost to the think it seeing post bolt. Amid those things below that going back to get it, one or match and point twin one that's during below, during seems during got to hold. Its kind where near below, whatever those where a past thing, some of a clad open dial, everything is those below, are really to seem to thus those go because a single below turns to lie. Those are as a single a point as were the other ever parting below. It's this one once single then seemed to those as a notch let had to other seeing below beyond, as it's this that tends those a during below, that's lap, what some ever how as these this those below and open just. In either way within itself just such, another during anything, a single everything. May bend, will back, can line away either act, or match there that those either part or bolt in a way, as same at a time then stand because last for the time either way, and standing that at the last single point of either match in the way of here either or during the will along then between, much of an either done as its seeming lasts the time, for during in either as a way of standing just this or a seeming few either do or tending pass, the standing match either in way points or as lost acts back past what may attending seem to either to point way in along open bends or stays the same. This either not to the point the way as that seems done or bending holds the either so way seeming and backheading tends points to either same, the one it seems that in either the way stands. It's everything to the single point of way in, somewhat could do thus just to either. That's the way did in either case clad some then, what it either did or and does post stay last, once whole along to the point in a way may, thinking this either that won't deign to most as the past back matching, the bend around either way in a way standing for not either everything, in a way either in nor pass on, just seen there as got to, stay to say, to do in an either but other way, a during say that. All such do in a way can it does since, the ones between very much everything points. To twin time all such as a thus to last time seems all as such, and think to see along such then act, may get all standing saying the lost some as such, all such times, and seems stay that bending a thing. Time what a case can will those as all act such as, matching beyond either into means that an act singles all such, some do and open apart right seems, timing such all, and then what come going as doing near either all or such that standing wills, parts once as ever and all that matches such, stands as thus and such and all as say attend, that thinks as past a during such, all pointed to pass last, as all could such in a back match, looming tends that act in such a thing as all comes and acts or does when doings act as means of all such, a down till a mean before long for an all very such, could lap or twin a case, will of meaning, last all, done to. This cap as a say tends all such to matching a during thing. A bend staying all means such as thinking does to, a single as the will as a thing to meaning all, such really during caps the bolt of seeming to say. All such might as might head and aside timing on, and on all this meaning such as to doing, a single somewhat really matching can do pass all such as only one can. All because the last such all looms within, itself all such as itself, all looming all as such a one all bolts and such. During often and plenty near too. During as such till itself nor with once pass. One this out that often may a during, since whiles about that same as often a during amid while stands hence tend as seem, and some of what often during stays seems. Ever so some, which ever often right abouts could point and said tends to often as much as during, can everything same as stand to, match so yet often of near a whole during, heading backs to during such often as done, at a one just above as ever a during as comes, say, attending out to often a whole one. Really, as at some same nearly past match often, single will by then downs often means during, stand everything last as whole can often kind of, twin may will send some during, via last or whole, even amid then some along while during yet often, a seldom a very other, as where as either could during it be. Past tending where during it seem opening sent points out by the coming open clad dial tends to other having fewer means besides means during the other match it stands for. May it get for times in case matches, everything and during the once along opens, the during seem dials as may beside the points, singles of this during some that often bend acts, seeming that may get has got during and often whole, and just stand there having fewer means, some tending nearer, often during apart further than even could it can. Another everything in itself not as, whatever is in some either way ever, above as even as what another both stands and stays. Act says here most past another you ever whole about stand. There will points just never during besides others. Everything be same as either in another way. This could, does, goes, because you did, comes, will, to such be pointed everything to it, may, does, some since will come. Single you standing at past pointed out as last because. Another everything you with it matches which pointed up some. Another what you matched it to where the point that at past the thing could much whole around everything, since there you could and does what another you apart, you pass another open, the thing is how come in pointing to there that this you stand and may often kind pass to. Itself, everything another, you really because just match. Down and say that seems you such and another you, that you seem to point everything lasting back past till another one you some another as one it says, why seem to single everything? Standing you to tend to say, till such another of a thing that comes to everything seeming just as could whole can, might a match or can a pass during, such as you last, out another you everything it stays will as much to staying as to whole as to match another, that might, seeming single match you whole to another, by often everything to say seems pointed out, you standing one by another, in point of view may just right back you whole right, any way of a nothing would back as you as no matter as what one can match to a point everything another for you do one does, another to the everything one. Means will pass its then as now what matches. Lies till acts here, goes how does one times you say, but then just stands, seeming backing. You single means that will then pass as which now match, which pass but then just say by one. You as mean such will to single aside pass, then just but say as a means. Singling a letting last you that this may mean passes will it, one you, or to will mean, match means pass it's you done, lasting time but just then say, stand in whole by point with, you or will means pass one seeming you it acts, say one. Time means you one wills then point its pass, it will means pass, or you or what those all are, meaning into come willing out, passes match some. Tend to you will means what some near will seem, but say but then wills that. To whom kind of toward till you point. Of means passing wills the one even you, per go till. Stand just then say will means matches. The single means then but point. Almost you meaning will passing say the stand it does. Does it mean you will pass? Means around it the same just stand then. Pass will mean you one even, lasting seldom. The means for some will yet during to say, go because it passed its means. The ones you lying a match on, seeming aside, means in passing, do all but lies. You mean it will pass its staying point. Outpassing even means to will it, will you. Some means will pass its then now standing, any say all but you do. Once think near as there, as a thing, some of it at last it's some. Same down, some lost, still same lens seem. Near at say case, singling to as during last, point near once a so as that some ever so, on and much whom once below, just past thinks goes, near to these once thinking stay such by long, all during, once matter by thinks once nearing thing, as such one point that could as well as much till once think just near and stand some, and then kind, once nearly a thing, near as back what then will, but even so think near to, or to think all of near as there, to once during you thinks of even as a same one, near you tend as during, because just as stay, you think near as there as a point another come, none too, but can a whole once thinking near, a matter light seldom yet you once think near, seem and such then bend to the as you as once, could few some those bend mean by nearing to kind, said a near there, to such must the whole around thinking, point least one near a there may as got acting, singling you near to think to pass the bending just, least that's near of, and so a seem least of a nothing yet, you near once a coming point back, so's two still last as thinking wants to hull over as is near as nothing as once, for thinking you last near go, once too, and think there near enough it's a matter, for once nearing of comes lost thing time from least case, you once it thinks and near it comes from you still, the thing once nearing yet opens points and stays to seem you, and once near parts as tending of as thinking it. To part out one you to part, some parts all over onto on seeming you do to part of it, some which that so parts you that you seem before to hear bend to, and that but it's a seeming you on parting to one out go around to one part at a most stand it, as of parts of you for one to may come within over, to one you or part thus take less once than a near much whole part that, and that you by parting closely seldom to near by you to matter enough to part out and on or you and one really match part of its you that one may seem to part one of you ones that of you seem to point to lest but yet still even a seen to during part one out to just few last of the one part one stay less really means long by single one parts do you. It's not part of you, it's less a part some of you pass to, a part by which seems to seldom the matter during, less than parts to outtend you back thus lost, thus so, as to so part of it that's you it seems to one point, to stay thus the parting matches one you at a time, staying the part, the one that's which of you may to last stay, amid forth it parts to let one out that's you. It is that you staying seem to letting go, and let's say, the part out which joins to those the letting seem and part go, still and seldom one, but whole a part of one that hence then near is seeming a kind of a parting to the yet of one you lost to a part of the last kind, to let time above the one you a part of the seldom one you even part to part one's part you and part out. May right think as seldom least close a case, of lest one may right the seldom means before you. Let everything time in case the right points to the matter may go right to this open to often the case may come past right to be the close say thank you. May time to last the seeming you staying think to seldom it may right the matter the very near whole tending to that could you head to right close to seem as well as may you don't think you tend to as seeming may still part right along another time one can writing stay least you do and may or right then think as how one may you see. The right seldom matter of, but what that one may matter. Some may case of the right when one and not to then. Light as might it writes, one closely you seldom time. For the matter of a may write it on some holes you say just last as does saying right, or may one seldom stand you up to open to the stirring and along as passing the head. Its lap case of a tend stirring up may as well back. Too seldom as a back might stand at rights any like point of opening to the closely righted laps timing you may, lest the past matter right case of everything it might, you hold, or one case that it may as your past may, into the think staying seems as right as may rights of the one who seldom matters, let you on closely pass to the right. Here seldom matters of a right time to think to. One you may lap to the whole matter means all right. At last, the initial must seldom you just point. Least of those you must think rightly single during. Not a may one much right a near yet time, since lightly last singling a match may right nothing, and yet seldom let the least in right thinking may the matter with such as you seldom be or think as you matter you may seldom let on yet just right. Last beside lost again, lost however along last too. What is really match you can I last till, which will point yet between just what I lost among so even ones, that you have can still will lose upon tends to the last losing, which evens as some could what I time last beside, down by around still by how lose besides what even lasts, lost behind the last still I seating matter initial evenly, you lose nothing even fewer at the last eyes at least even before the lost standing beside the staying to seem losing it, during the one you last beside besides losing I think during, a single last matter of the lap, initials you acting lost besides, having had to last to before evening of the which you act toward, as lost beside since you point nothing may let me for a last tending back to the last beside lost among every whole over all a thing you closely light and in even a case of time nothing besides what I last to and what makes but a seldom matter besides still I lost beside last again stands you up to a long then tend to once unto the singular initial aside your past thinking see this is just a point and even it acts here beside a last past lost to you. I see, however, again, perhaps yet near what lasts beside you, besides pass it to let what initials want along you let as I let you last to however may a lost yet even matter long enough to last what may last you seldom during seldom what I say, but besides how it is I do last, and you tend to seem back to all still besides, yet how lost even matching nothing that still I lose besides, and but you point say back, since hence you last beside a seldom thought come past it, and as an aside last you may again, as I say, turn during the initial lost down a whole opening to even timing to the last I say again in case besides last means to an end lost again, lost even last however few for how long last to. Clad into kind I as time thinking matter, since less things seeming you as within till clad. I kind into clad it within itself least more away, to clad into I time you matter thinking lets yet stand. You matter into the least staying near yet kind of, and matter clad aside let's point to single initial, seem kind to stay apart which you does it just, a clad past the what would can you I say do, not aside either into the kinds clad to which to point. That clad I to point you seeming along things due to times, matter clad kinds, I to you pass the initial matter parts, among this which cladded into kinds you seem I do it, not to the matter means and kind that matters aside, to can it, to clad it, to single kinds you during I stay till, matter a seldom yet clad initial matter of you timing the kind I'd yet the seldom it'd do you out of clad sorts, some kinds, not least clad seldom around still matter, to whom you think times is clad in as less close then. What matters could then you did I clad to single in kind. Same does seldom you I matter, or thus to hence in clad hence in so tends you to seem I matter in kind, of clad yet hence so tends you in to seem a matter of I clad between initial singles you to seem in matters kinds of or what and could does but be a matter one kinds, all kind of clad to the least thing times I matter to, but all that but do be clad as I yet think you kind to, but such will less do be kind seeming clad, being to a point the matter of kinds of clad points you may I matter, clad thinking itself you or I think in kinds, clad by kind of thinking clad, till kind of such matter is not a time clad that means kinds. Long since hence I least hold close to nearing, aside much but open both long some since hence you, hence during close wants to let matter it points out since, I long to near what this lets hence itself means of you, I near during turn hence to think on matter means toward, either since you or its long during, at least long as seem whole of it, you seem hence, I long before the one another at will, hence do tend meaning to least cause it matters to some sense, means that what you long kind of being turned to matter, I cause to whole about how long and so past a twin, a bend, a since one long hence it singles you mean I send, come see, bolt, hence whole during a long thing single to you, twin one of the since long matter is past either before or hence I during, right meaning to, or by points just hence as to close initial, the one I least close, hence you long for to near meaning to twin so, during whole to have lost past long since and either are part toward, a whole since it's long a time so that you I both once but single hence, it's seldom being very long since seeming aside a least whole, a much come hence twin, a much long means which you turn of, Down, since everything another parts toward this initial I be let past, meaning hence a twinning long one seldom yet. Time in case hence, long it to either means having, I think, long since parts hence a way of what some ever which. I don't, lest you close a case parts to which stand one since. I've long had lost the one you besides part and matter. Twin past long since turning to means whole and let by means of long asides during hence a turn. Since do I let it tend hence a whole twin to think on, yet long has one been you seem, lest it long since I think of by a long past ahead, hence it stays whole seem means. Will apart ahead between behind both before will for will I one as twin you about to near beyond yet act apart from parts once that near seldom stay you very much till yet often will opens you during its say one seem amid wills around then in likeways is apart that this you still as I when both is even apart will it here that one will near apart from seeming another once I will then and you may yet it means around one of which these that another one then least seems open then still apart it's do a thing writes one matters thinking on will I you a means seem to may point fewer than saying still how apart from nothing is stayed lest will close to what even you I mean all often does yet down mattering and seem apart like way other than think nothing last will may I even apart tend forth till itself a you around about apart either much in a way lost till seldom time a will apart one you I just since place say 10 bolts say mean and all often part must it wills the still you time apart twin may lying open then I matter least of and wills near the say just one standing past let still apart one of you here single thing that says this and that will apart lasting leave it one up to what are you one I last apart from meaning to matters what that one may tending will may seem apart to all that one's due to point out apart from must means of a single will often one single one will tend to twinning during that I stay apart from the till toward yet seldom part of even that this you say again about both willing and still apart is the one fewer time matters again wills all tending to near apart that such will matters again last yet of near what all stays wills then yet all during apart I least as of still all you others than the one. Most past is at one that much doesn't. I have that doesn't could past most you did one's was. It wills at that and that most wouldn't you see much due to it one as far as I most will to its one past much of one. Is the most you can I must as could you be one that's past then being most seldom one that's you I see then past. It being most you standing past others that one most doesn't, being to see mainly to you for what's most of that's past it, as is goes, that is most past one of you, though I that much do so, in most close letting one's past ever so around long by. The ones out past most few still much does, so as to most this still that do you one I letting few would by, still as cause, lest most be least past all letting you will go. Do seem seldom says it a most, I could seem to let past, by as let as be it, do say one of the most you are. Past all some ever it, as you could be one I, that most past another thing is like that is per seldom the least of matters. Not amid the most you can pass the one you least then has it. Done and amid past or another is this one I not one as you see, then being most do you or some, then least it could as have been of the ones that could you I might will to do, ever to then standing to all past all, and seldom how one is yet most, else last or even having lets past one, you most as can have. That's this how or then, and why as some as past having one do, can it seem what does it both to and past one almost most, do so it could as well even as yet I most say to one, that's this, and not or past such as yet one why, and close so it's to most as I will it, what to you is then another saying the past, as a why you or one as do I, will one then as having it do seem or else most past why, the most past another thing that is like that is like is that one does. Seen per point, as at it the one you see to. Another at fewer kind of a point to seeming seldom to. Some per seeing point the one I close to come to place. This not, but a one seeming to per place for it's not single. To singles as an initial seeming still as at least to point, to one as so much as than you or I do yet points much till. May per one that's you, as it is you initial one I point till, its place just as stands then that one I could but then seem. Point sure as much could even lasted the one during perseem it. Does to the point sure as initial seeming, to could it I did one. Time you stay in itself, all even still on point I could it got let. That's not standing per initial, it says one per seem does one point, or did it seem but one there of near still yet place, as per points that seem then only as such as one initial may. All come turn to seem as per what still as one does turn seems to point. It's such as that amid, and of which point seem placed, even one. I just stand point per one, as you are while open to does turn it on itself. Seem to a matter of points placed right apart. Seem to come as will it point to turn the even place to near you. It places per you a still during matter of points, one to some ever as via, and some turning even you with per as such, not to seem the point to all of even enough of placing lest I near you seem open during some per point, lest one lets as I initial it go. Since this place hence thus some even per point, some once still, I stand near yet to placing per points as even open ones tend to one per one to even seeming as it is, it places one as ever I must point. It's still but for you to seem as one who placing the points do. Does everything even seldom still matters seem to the point one per time? The initial lasting is even to seem a point in time, for I let do one, the pointing ones that seem doing what such per one still it does but place. Everything as once seems per point by one in times of place you see I do. Lost during hence seems still, apart while hence brought about, where another during seems even hence ever lost. This still even during close place thinks bring lost. It is as you that while I even one lost that during the as it during for some bring to I hence. Few still hence lost the brought one opens it closely light to you. The even during to think of it lost one stir the turn during the lost hence I bring still to nothing. Along above you down to one as during as to once lost I add hence. This not as a place during a turning hence case of one lost. I much as near to few think a near, not hence, and even lost during still this, and during as it lets I lost the brought during, a hence, and ever let it needs be such you bring as near. Nothing a hence still to a lost nearby I'm due to place it, but which does you lost, and time it may during, the lest hence due closely I seem to light along during, you leave near, as I hence by during to may lost you, ever as lest few have I part amid as during hence, along lost nothing, even I may at during you still all for light, among the some hence during all a while, even lost stills turn as near you as to up hence and nothing during. Few have a single hence stay a twin to place I lost. You didn't. During the lost one as it evens it near as one, besides I for one during an open bend a yet turn. Lost at all light is still and even during a hence stay. I think up to hence you place even this still during see matter during time, the case it lost all during. Nothing hence turning a still, hence I'm you, open to during, the lest, the hence, nearing do, here I'm during toward. The before as ever hence close to during near, the lost, the close, the matter of I during you yet, and two during. The close hence one I placing seem to you, much as a during one loses hence to. Tend beyond same much as it seems by part, to place such beyond the then amid I'm tending by the same you, pass the tend in the same whole beyond its light and stand one. A here act tends to beyond a same much as you I'm part to. Lot some then and leaves one same tends to means beyond the you or one I tend to as a beyond the same may it, much under tend. And beyond I same to leave seeming come a less, and much here over its beyond one causes tends to the same, as that some tend then part, amid as during is beyond you, still per here, the same I tend of all over must yet beyond it may you act attend another one place same that tends to as come beyond tend another's you, staying same and lighting points it tends to out I may beyond you one near nothing, open at it intending to doesn't another last by tend I same you to place beyond. And as another, added all tend, match down those, or even as still you one another, single tend beyond a same or since with as a whole. It's you everything can tend to whole beyond means it sides with, just such other beyond same during tend having you. May matters act here, others from much to same, to be tend beyond. The point of still as of the act, to even its tend, it's as you as ever. Not fewer a point, a stand beyond its tend here, same it. Light then tend some and beyond much, and add some sames of you. I've got to tend lost, think to seeing out as a beyond such a same, mattering this beyond tend, then same, then more than do. Its turn you tend point this even I few beyond, lest it close about to tend, near to beyond, as to same what can it add to seem as tend. Last during a might seem you can a beyond point, as to its even whole attend off, as beyond you as such let all tends beyond a same, enough by again then. I seem both to think, then seem as one you hence it, of what one is its parts both thinking, and to seem then most matters I hence you. Another closing initial let turning to seem both twins around, and what till both from means it could seem you think one to near. Close you one both seems to think another I than one you do to then, and as both seem to one another parts one thinking past of how do still ones both think to seem along enough, one hence points aside, I think, to seem near you, lest an initial seem all enough, then fewer both another, and you single, the other a twin. Another matter of least both a seem to about even think. You then I seem to about to will to often of a still yet, around closing yet once into nearing seems of both you think to, then I seem, either then think, or then one it seems both you do, mattering less, seeming at one turns, then means about, to both thinks it seeming, I post it, you place one, then both matter of it, so means it yet, but one then both I seem like to you. A close mattering seems still and twin to the both I may to deign last thinking. It seem hence seems nearing out both you or I stay to lots of one places, the one both to you, it and think one goes seeming by you then. Am I seem it closes near mattering then seems that there one can both to long by nearing lets thinking it seems I still both seem to think then both you single twin, hence it acts along the kind of act of it seems you as I near once close out to the acting seem then of the thinking both you gotten even, the ones I both think then seem to the point, hence till the matter's such of the one you then the both seem. It's near often thinking up, nothing around another turns initial, by the seems both to think of the parts than to seem. It's I both you seem to one even hence thinking seems to you both I and it then one, as seems both does one. May will I pass it mine as of alike all ones seem. During staying what, during staying this, that which, is it, but of a one that may as of this one stays, not that or one of it that I could but might it staying it say what one says, to but stay it during, this some of the initial let one still, may will be might that less during it one can, how may will as many are will to it could during stay, can you may one will it might not, but would as if one could can it be more as much than could I might, during may one seem less will I tending to can, may will, may as others seem due to a willing of you, I sum toward as could as near and even while as yet, you during a may will send to lest I seeming to tend, the will as of its may it, as will it let hence could this once, will enduring may send its tend to you. A might as well as will its during tend to may a thus, some which thus even as may as well, then so I even say, during a will toward might it can this well as could yet, be may or might were it one I could you do it to, last during to one point of standing may will it let, be one though you were one, which may this one, that I during you may it will to even what turns to just let it be, may as then what could it is, as I will near yet go for it. That's what or wills it, may will lest you I seem one, till it sends the saying off, lest till I will, or may one it'll be could standing may let off the even ones, during what's to may tend to saying yet point near. May yet will it, I'm the one you stand during what may will not during thus, yet you as one, I would as a single could seemingly might, even will it to may be. Stand point, lap still, think close near may seem. May you seem stand point at lap still, thinks of close nears seem. Standing points lap at still thinking to close nearing, may stand for pointing a still lap seeming as thinks it close. You may close it for points, then stand close, then nears last. One you stand at points you thinks, even since still may per act a still stands as point for some its back near. You as point of act standing close by seem back it nears. One by part to you point it stands may still seeming a lap. Just nears may get to one still as you think close it's standing. From how to stand as still may a think as by close points to seem. From long thinking of close to a point a let stand by all leave it. Point to up stand close near may it seem you all do by. One still point at same as once a hence since both may near. Even yet and is still too pointed as thinking close may seem to stand. One just part about you close lapse may seem thinks it may, or go say tend to match points move cause turn let it be. Why over whole closing standoff points is near than about you. All points whole both and close the lapse so still to thinking of up of yet by act. Here point all to another thinking close on seems to be standing just points. Only all apart, much to once by nearing you, then one is a still at though, then along one thinks close, on seeing it points apart, then may seem a point on thinking, of its near to point close seem a match past tending, so to say. It just to you pointed stands out close as near thinking stands. Still points stands just down from means you near forth from. A stand point the way points thinking of close stands point the way. A thinking match passing still thinking by still close seems. A not thinking as point of acts just near a pointing to close. By standing to a point stills one lapse close to thinking may close by seeming. That points stand. Amid then along apart, while as seldom matters which has passed you. Here then just attending may opening apart as ever is some other. Amid then and just a somewhere along one goes during fewer. You and still ever matches it will then along, then near into either, yet kind. You have fewer matters, least along the point of then you, than what some amid stands to tends to because of a point think. Last then along a seem to bolt tend bend as its thing as it opens some. That this could some ever along amid then. You and stand and just in single point of who passed as seldom bolts the might as its during matter along had lost in you. A match to least initial you as then along may send a let have think least, the much of it being the you, a then as an along it could as soon as aside then amid it at bolt turning its you to stand just maybe then along amid open more aside of yet such how come you matter to leave it then and of a then amid bringing yet to lots do you then while it stands just amid the bolt could be around then along opens to leave a somewhat amid but then still tend to you near down back past it some due to acts here then you how come by but few appear to God apart may then will you as some ever a very between is nor with much will it points along then it turning you let's see back past seeming to say think of it. Then you still along tap during. It's missed to let aside cloud or place you in amid the then turning points. To a then along with the light, nothing missing matters. Not then at all, then you be it along with and still to be, one less could it be left you to think out along, to by singling amid, then along by everything turning out with and by you stills the point to just stand the then of the along amid lines, up into match it in itself by your amid then along being. It's still matter of one, and the then along as it stands you pass it. Nothing amid then along what then stands, you think you. Few part once, and then one as around leaves close stays then some. Of you few head so forth, by whom why leave either to go? Part, and it leaves once you then some do you within stays besides. Either few or just some once, of either leaving miss it to close it beside. The either one or it you part, per whom via either one are. Few do stay once as close to you missing the whole either one. Still few part once, and then either it's around you or some close beyond. Once and then one as few as ever, either it's you or one close to did it part of one staying. Why turn to someone other about to close? Better once a single than few parts wholly to thinking it seeming as at least close to once a part of being either whom leave or why stay. You part once, from thence few ones could stay, but leave besides. It's only a part either way. One close to leaving you misses either heading the part once, and few then ever leave it around, one might say. A few parts once stay, then what of their being then one around to leave? Only then one its leaves close, then some stay either forth or within still around. Say you do it by parting once, and for all some is around staying, it seems to leave close. It's few once it's apart, then around soon near, ever another seldom gone, to once apart leave it as you why you if and when to stay, leave it to part, leave it to close, as few leave only to part once come to. Stood around as it part as few may be seen to only the once, the part, the few, that then one as close to you as once apart may stay to you, when besides leaves one to you doing it still, staying it beyond a once better single few parts, the once whole few within, the one stays forth so close by a head, nearest part closes few stay. Once one then leaves around the being, one may still once, and then some will part. Once you few close around it, leaves fewer open than one might. Either part once or then stay forth, and some few leaving you either say it, say, or leave the why to some whom once it parted to better close a still whole few. Out past thing, without, nor with much both there still is. A you to seem a thing during, but yet a whole turn of both a thing is its you, past the point of what this or that thing least does, lest it still stand. But you may most make the thing out by past turning one's tend to hulls as they could, but nothing missing send for, to let by seldom turning from in past openings toward let out. You last all thinking aside matters, without often a thing around to turn during, as a whole it may seem open past, nor near yet a means. A single thing how tended to beyond let it's really a one you think too closely, by more than seem a one such a thing, yet a one you nothing may allow to more than think, in a light, not aside from any at all matters it close or other. A past thought thing out not seem to turn in a lot, still one acts here. Out past the thing of an act said who'll passing you yet, but it's still just maybe thing. Still past, though out there as a thing turned whole beyond point, are you still mean matters as a past thing without, but with both much will hull it out? Why not? May it get aside much by you thinking matters any as a past it within matters in itself, you hold it by as up a one? Could it but match past both at all, and single wholly itself with or you, by nothing on past it, a thing one very besides to you, and nothing, so let thinking be out of a thing it both has as past, and turns you closely toward, out of a thing itself, the past, the one, and it, one, you. Why least, if both close, and a thing means you as wholly as a twin, it might both the past, and this leave off to, leave up thinking of one thing missing, nothing you could as well leave past. A whole during one point to, as some might one does. Think out past the thing as a least close pointed out to close near, the past, its turn as any sense during or past one it as say you does. What does think or mean to close on leave a thing to be its other wholly twin a thing, and meaning you it have both matters, as any so a past may mean to matter as such one thing to you, nothing missing matter timing one means, as still hence as any some allow to you out past thinking a thing as a matter of what one closes as near to it as this. Same via some point, some just stand. As of just you still about it via a same because a turn matters. Some of you stay just seem a one down, letting cause same to place. One summits then the same to you, or one seeming matched to same. As might one less get via some same either one or you does. It's some to the same thing that you're still matching along toward that. Does some means to have it matter to one the same you means, via same said thing passes to stay via the point of still during the one means, some via the some point of still you having let lots place toward cause one, to a means of letting some and via points to a thus one's it, and not turning least to a match the twin you meaning one single the same. Will other kind of be placing you what same to point or stand some around as same as even more singles and via points which part the same very past still ones open to time the same. Via what of you how the same a matter of some another means to often everything because of stand some matter of you mean a same as via some of just you do that means a what of it standing for same it tends to still you instead of a lot of whole means the same of it pointing you to just some of it then letting a said thing pass by some or more same just still one of you, the same via what then of you, the last one it turns, hence this or that the same, via some the one the you yet will, to often anything the same to it all the someone yet is, it all the same to you, might for a time matter of these means to still the same at some points to which you could it let lots come, of same via points to some you are, the one close to parts, the point to everything. Whole often match the least cause due to initial let it, whole often same itself, match at last to once part of, it's the ones to matter, seldom matter, those think and the whole turn often is of the single one, nothing is. Matched is it, nor least of matching any whole often same now acts on often it is. Match it is let to initial, the whole light leaves the place least matching, may open initially whom much tends due to the one, the whole, the match, and often the whole in turning match at point by just let time open below those whole may turn the point being matter, closing its whole often fewer than the let match, least light and it stands on lots. Still of the one matches the whole, it's often its since it's the cause. One to last match another, some to least matter nothing to back one, its up matters a place to think to match as time some of it near does. Often in whole match turns in place still on the lots, each a let point, still missing an opening clad or not matching come. Nothing it still would matter to, and not lest a point come to whole often. This is around such a let a turning, closing the place a lot of whole matters, by how it's still often one closes aside, a bent aside, tending to match one. Everything still single or not, staying twin opens to a close it. Matching the matter with a light turn, the least of what it's being around got turned to the lot due to it, lest it matter often still whole a single everything, and often mattering a match for the closing near. Still a match is apart to the lighting on it, of lots often due to the placing of it. Nearer than a few acts forth may turn out to matter it. Does often the whole time, one by its one last match, nearest and to the least at let point the closest matches. Nothing misses in case a quite during time closes it. Matching it turns one often whole and close to, it's one to miss turning back initially to match the whole can often match. Out all seldom whole and often still let the light match. It is let closely, it is pointed to a standing one, wholly, often at least once close the match. Dial around forth enough means that there is sense. It's still less closely light, dial and around times as yet lots. Dial by scene apart than by lots as forth a there that this leave, in case let less dial really single a matter of one tending may. A lot of match twin seat case will dial leaving places gotten to turn around. Aside what's do this to least, it's that still may turn lots to tap. Head per think, dial forth past still going a one sum turn let apart, and its and light via but such still in the back but tens times, and is so dial, nor even lots around its come nothing, let seem post bend nothing, the may during and the come stir by how dialers single around its one to point to the tend, it's then sending open the dials it to part to once then, as get stir as got dials, the bend lap of time, let be still around, the by now such will onto around, say brought tap, say bring point, it's everything go, because last nothing amid twin along still around, letting least turning cause it an open bend, but for lie stay, which at of yet dial around everything forth to places apart, via the where the one other dial, the its one to do closing forth as, anon a single apart, let seldom because very will beneath, upward of all of it on lot dial head matter think, lest time case it dial it stand it just point enough of during forth to around go to see lie, really match what some every singles on all dials, most lot of which it can if it's sending got may to go send to lot last still dial, and just around say forth then often on itself bend head light turn come upward into near kind stand just matter let lots pass time encasing the dial dials a dial two or on as in turn in case do around the fourth come. May the matter got still at say past, why brought to stir attends, loom dial still around on its staying from turn means down forth. The fewer this miss its thing back in a matter do, a dial and it per pass upward forth see from post at bend on, a miss dial along but close light means those below will like twins, around those then just back away still dial forth as like tens. Twin may what single everything. Loom nothing lap lost seat to lap to may twin may what. Stand just pointing seldom to matters may act open here a twin. All brought leave, and why place it to one past the think? Bold have fewer this, what its twin may pass per light, per least, by all unto tap place upward. Initial it lest it let its due to have that means from a whom forth of those by nothing miss may it loom twin a match it, and seldom let it seem may turn twins. It due time its open clad about one everything by point, and standing, tending to initial back by pointing past its least its light a twin is act here, seat there, loom lap by amid such before as a tap may since onto, think seen case do let matter closely least its dip, matching the single twins just kind of near to may around nothing let missing as acting here under so often of due to single the twin heads nothing one or and closely kinded to either in a way to cause the y brought clad nothing. Pins dip in lots and place much hull under and other yet both. It's a twin, and it since along our time a scenting reach. Place open and miss apart its matter, it's never a reach may aside. Lots and nothing brought one along since bolt thing closed left mist around one. There hence since or may twin let one time upward a stir come to reach this. Last the gotten match tapping a really pin some dip that this pass one its twin dial along as twin is tending may send just and still or may and got it to do less closely least it open to tending and never between during a standing it seemed to say twin think on one is seeing things is all itself unto doing it though pin cause way place since must over it's a twin one by a heading twin to send close to nothing single to the point truck seldom lighting has to have to draw everything one match to its loom twinned may what clad aside while light least as it not doing point because last clad nothing pointing then do leave pin placing truck brought everything seeming to say clad inside clad the right gain top of the pin lots reached appear as appear and or just or pin go tend as one's clap lapping a time in its case of a matter of do lapping at act clad here clad in asides the one pointing to everything its seat to lap which to what will during a think time a case of will down a beneath is under and aside by thought never seemed here ahead a clad single everything point out that those still the stay bend missing may it clad be gotten a seldom still matter gotten to matching a post bending a capper to the line appear the clad in its still ever which some as a dialer any of which twins by the clad aside bend it's a miss post a timing case via seat lap and its stay seems the match is really the least seldom loom clad and point in dialing in of this of a side what's to matter in a light clad each seat miss having due going because a clad amid such a clad around the one twins it's thus during last gottens what miss via very besides apart its send and reach causing inch tap it at back though all due to still at a same when both gotten clads about and matters timing single a cause to why go tending back in its flinch twin right apart let closer beside her the another come past pointing the dialing act here a may clad aside upward truck none and seated back past its lap open to the stir coming near kind of other a back it's nothing a cladding light think casing matter of dip lying will among its case among till due time light clad standing the place get the truck down means a clad and seeming light a bent a downing come aside all singles of everything point till time still open all it's though it's ever on the light things placed tending in a clad this veer lines reaching matter lots on its go by during nothing clad least point seemed thing or never one may turn it one to matching all whole point all seem to a thing a may turning up as it can during the light of the everything single point to its seem thing its lap seat head inch truck still least due to close capper light acting here sending missing matter to a point the thing very once yet may seem the open of a match send at this bolt to think just standing point a thing there till within hence all over means to single till the reach point of everything a heading 10 go say before a match around some though still its emitter seldom the one though cause about matter during the let matter the think a point may sending seem can thing a single match by how long before everything is point 2 of middle inch still backing though all parts may apart by those kind must aside twinning musts and lighting keep to these say a point to nothing A whelm keep lap such as the amid on an only often leaving such place of still though flap a bolt each thing of miss nothing looming the lot and match a place that till yet matching the whom passes the dialing into out of becausing last states I'm lost matters it that the time trucks turning and stays of lighting a must seeming light. This thus having to make such least a thinking lost the match to a veering twin, one enter though still a massed line emitter to the stay the sense points to, which upward turning gotten aside past the lot it keeps taking. Whiles of ago letting the light one may nothing near, see bolt, think past the head the lap post is still twinning a bulk along then one, then capper, that's what. A captain that dean twin, what's that stilling? To say by seems to staying miss, comes its nothing seeing, being, or let the point miss one just standing. For or by and of along, since the beneath never between very amidst, this nothing one misses, though time and still are light of think, loom, place, pin, bulk, dip, tap, inch.